The power of breath in a two-step breathing technique to bring in a state of calmness. That's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. Hi, I'm Monica from Walking the Inner Journey, and a warm welcome if you're returning or new to my channel. Sit back, relax, and let's get at it. In a world that we are in right now, ever changing, the old crumbling away, and even within ourselves, the inner work, that old crumbling away, making room for the new, is bringing us more into a heightened state of stress, overwhelm. And when I connected in to my guides to see what to bring forth that would serve the highest good right now for anybody watching, they stressed the importance and the power that's within our breath. And that this will be something that we can do daily, that we will, if you practice it and give it time, will become just a way that you're going to be breathing and will keep you in a more level, calm state. So breath in itself is, as we all know, life-giving. We wouldn't be here without breathing. But there's also other things that our breath can do for us. So when you do deep breathing exercises, it can slow down your heart rate, which can then lower blood pressure, calm your central nervous system. It can do a mind reset. And it brings in this sense of calm and well-being. That's the power, and that's a whole lot of power that just our breath can bring to us. But the funny thing is, even though we have signs of that, we haven't correlated or connected the dots that this could just be always a way of being. One of the things the guides were showing me, because I've been doing this work and finding really good results, and that's why I'm more than willing to bring it forward. But it was funny because even when I started, they said, when you go to doing a guided meditation, as an example, what's the very first thing they ask you to do? Right? Connect to your breath. When someone or yourself is spinning out and you're talking to somebody and it's just like blah 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 blah, right? And you're almost on the verge of that hyperventilation, and whether you to someone or them to you will go, breathe, right? Breathe, take a deep breath. So yeah, right. And in that very second, if you ever watch someone, you can see, it might be subtle, but you'll see the shift. Because all of a sudden, they do one or two breaths like that, they start coming down. And then there's a little more calmness as they're speaking. And they're not in this hyperactivity of spooning. So if we can, in just a couple of deep breaths, have that subtle shift, if we would do this on a regular basis, how much easier could our life become? Since working with my guides, one of the things I've always asked them was to bring things in with simplicity. I've done hard all my life, and I want now to do things with more ease. And it's something that I've always said. We make things so much more difficult than they need to be. So, what I'm going to bring forward today is actually easy. There are amazing breathwork videos out there, um, wonderful meditations, and they're wonderful to do when you have the time. But what happens when you're at work or you're out in a public setting and you can't just sit there and go, I need half an hour to go settle myself. What I'm going to bring forward today is something that you can do anytime, anywhere, any place, and nobody will even know that you're doing it. And that's the beauty of this. And if you keep practicing it and you keep doing it, eventually it will become a way of being. So if you look at how we normally breathe, majority of us, we breathe more shallow. And you know that because when you do a meditation, then all of a sudden you're doing this deeper breathing. And that's not how you normally would breathe, right? But when we breathe more shallow, what happens is it leaves us more vulnerable to being able to more quickly escalate. So because we're not at a real calm level, but we're not also, hyperactive, but we're kind of in between. But it does leave us open that if a trigger comes in, something happens around us that we can start to spiral. And our breath is actually such a perfect gauge as to where we're at, right? Like you know yourself. So if we are more shallow breathing, pay attention when you're becoming more stressed or, especially when we become angry. When we're angry, there's times we almost don't even breathe. But our breathing gets more and more shallow, which then escalates us higher and higher. So we can use our breath to gauge where we're at. And when I first started doing this, I was amazed at one, how frequently my breathing was shallow and how it was shifting and becoming more shallow depending on my mood and where I was at. The more stressed, the more shallow it became. And that just seemed to keep feeding where I was. And then we all know when we get in that loop, and then our mind starts to spin and we start creating scenarios, the ifs, ands, what, buts, shoulda, didn't, coulda, whatever. And then it's almost like we can't break out of it. So what can we do? And especially, like I said, if you're at work or you're out with friends or out in the public, what are you going to do to be able to try to bring yourself down so that at least you can get through your day till you get home and then you can go deeper and do things and bring in your toolbox that will help you chill out. So simplicity is the key. The idea is using our breath, literally using our breath. So like I said, you can do this at work, and I'm gonna show you that you can do this, and nobody is going to have a clue that you're doing it. So the idea is you take a really deep breath in for 4 seconds, and then on your exhale, 4 seconds. So this is the very first step. So I'm just going to show you. I'm going to take a deep breath in for the count of 4, exhale for the count of 4. I'm going to do it for a few times just so you can see that, if I hadn't told you that's what I'm doing, you would just think I'm sitting here looking at you, right? So I'm going to begin now. Right? The idea when you're breathing though is if you start counting. 1, it starts breaking your focus from whatever is stressing you at that time. If you're feeling really anxious, if you're in overwhelm, you want to break that pattern. So by focusing now, changing your brain to think of something different, so that counting is already going to shift you out. And then as you're breathing, like I already could feel myself beginning to relax. And in all honesty, I used this very technique prior to coming on because I am new here in this format, which is completely different than working with clients or doing classes when you're seeing people on the other side of your screen. This is a little different than what I'm used to. So I definitely was feeling a little anxious about it. So I dropped into this technique and I'm feeling pretty good now. So that is the very first step. You're just getting yourself into a rhythm. So that 4 count breath in and that 4 count breath out. And then when you get a rhythm, right? And you just allow that to flow. So when you're feeling that you're in that rhythm, then the second step is as you're breathing in, you're going to imagine that that air that's flowing into you is absorbing all that anxiety, that overwhelm, that stress. And then on your exhale, you're pushing that air out and you're handing it over to the universe. Now, if you know how to alchemize, and you can do that with these by all means, but usually if we're really stressed, we don't even want to have to think about doing that aspect. We want to just be able to release it and let it go. So if you already know that releasing this and handing it over to the universe to be transmuted and transformed into something more beneficial, the universe has that capability. So just set that intention, and that's what we're doing. We're just handing that over to the universe. So you're already starting to release some of that, and you're going to feel your body responding. You're going to feel things relaxing a little bit more. So that's what you're going to continue doing now. You're going to be breathing in for that count of 4. But as that air is flowing in, it's absorbing doubts, fear, worries. And on your exhale, again, releasing that out to the universe. Just letting it flow out, letting it go. And if you're able to, you don't have to open up your mouth and go, right? You don't have to do that. You can just take that breath in and just very subtly. And again, you know, people sigh through the day, nobody pays attention to it. So again, nobody's really going to know what you're doing. So you just keep doing that until you start feeling yourself starting to settle. Now, it may not fully relieve you of all of it, depending on how extreme you were in it prior to starting, but it will calm you down enough that you should be able to sustain yourself throughout the day. And if you keep doing it throughout the day, it's going to help you feel better and better. Now, I am going to post tomorrow a 10-minute guided meditation with this exact technique that will take you in deeper. So if you are finding that you're struggling trying to do this right away, that you can utilize that, whether on your lunch hour, on your break. Like I said, it's only 10 minutes. It's done with nature, seeing. You can look at the image with your eyes open, you can close your eyes. And nature, there's going to be some nature sounds just because nature is such a beautiful, calming energy in itself. But you could utilize that to help bring you in and then do this on its own throughout the rest of your day. That's it. It's simple, it's easy, but it can have such an impact on breaking the cycle that's going on in your brain in that spinning, bringing you into that state of more calmness, well-being. And when we're there, it's a lot easier to navigate what's going on around you than when you're already in an elevated state, right? Like anything, it takes time and practice, but what my guides really want you to understand is deep breathing wasn't meant to just be for when you meditate or when you're in high stress. It should be a way of being all the time. When we conditioned ourselves to breathe in this more shallow way over the course of our life. So it's now this retraining of bringing in a deeper breath all day throughout every aspect of your day, right? So keep checking in. What's my breathing doing? I do this regularly every day. Where's my breathing? And when I first started, more times than not, I was definitely more shallow breathing. Now I am finding that I'm more time in my deeper breathing than I am in my shallow. And does this stop you from being triggered? No. I mean, we're here to learn and grow, so we are going to get triggered. What I find what it does is when we're coming from a calm place and being triggered, you don't escalate the way you normally would when your breathing is shallow. I'm still triggered, but I'm able to look at it from a different perspective. I find I have more clarity. I find I can step back more, be the observer, take a look, rather than hyper focusing on what I think is the issue. I'm looking at the bigger picture so that I can see everything that's going on. But because I'm coming from a calmer place, I'm willing to look at that. This is the power of our breath. And to understand that that power is within us. So if you want to be in a calmer state all the time, practice your breathing all day, every day. Check in. And it's okay if you find your shallow breathing. You're having to retrain yourself. So when you see that's what you're doing, then take that deep breath in and get into the flow of that. And you will find gradually more and more it becomes easier and easier. The one other thing I did ask my guide, sorry, I'm looking down at my notes just so I don't miss anything. Um, I did question about, because there's different breathing techniques and they use different counts, and you know, I kind of was like getting confused as what's right, what's wrong. And what I received was there is no right or wrong. Deep breathing is innately within us. We know how to do it. We know how to do it properly. It's just we forgot. So as you start working on this, you're going to find what works for you. Trust your intuition. Listen to your body. It's going to let you know. Because what I have found is there's times when I'm, depending on what's going on with me, I will start doing, this really deeper breathing, and I might and feel like I need to hold for so long and then exhale and then hold. And my counts change sometimes. And it's just trusting that I innately know what it is my body needs and what I need. So again, it's just practice. And the more you do it, the more in tune you become to yourself and what you do need. So I think we pretty much covered everything. I just wanted to bring this forward because, like I said, it's easy. It's not a hard thing to do. But the impact on your life can be so beneficial. And it's well worth doing. If you can face the world from a place of calm, face yourself in a place of calm, it makes it a lot easier to navigate. And when you go to do your inner work, connect to your breath first. Make sure you're in a calmer place. Okay. It makes it easier to do, because otherwise, if you're spinning and you're trying to do that inner work, you're going to do what I talked about in my other video about surface surfing. And you're just going to literally try to grab the easiest thing to do to say, yeah, that's why I'm feeling this way, and just to get it over and done with. And you're going to miss out on the opportunity in that moment to go deep enough to find out the real reason and be done with it. Okay. So I wish you well. I hope you have an amazing day today. And like I said, I'm going to post that meditation tomorrow, and it will probably be close to a week before I do another video. So do keep a watch out. If you haven't hit the notification bell, please do. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.